The updates keep coming in DC Dark Legion as we move closer to the holiday season across the world. I do expect some of these updates to slow down as we get to December and January. We've got New Year, we've got Chinese New Year, we have several things that I definitely think are going to cause a slowdown in content updates for the game as we get a little bit closer to that. But for right now, I am super excited that the devs continue to make some iterative changes to the game. Some of them have been bad. We've been trying to call that out, but I also think that they're doing a lot to gear this game up for the future. So we're going to talk about a little bit of those changes in this update video. We've got some other things that we want to cover as well. So let's get into the game and we'll take a look. Now, the first new thing I noticed when I logged into the game this morning to make this video is they dropped this upcoming events notice immediately when you log in. And some people hate kind of the pop-up screens, but I do appreciate the additional reminder, especially let's say you're only a couple of hours away from an event. I think it'll be nice for it to pop up here just as a reminder, hey, you need to do your Guardian Challenge, you need to do your Umbral Rift, etc. So I think this is a positive change. We'll see how annoying it gets in the future, but it's better than a pop-up for a pack purchase. So we'll at least take that as a win for sure. Now you can exit this out and it's going to take you to the main screen. You can also view, and it's going to take you directly to the screen for whatever that event is. So if you're really, really close to the start of an event when you log in, it should take you directly there. A lot easier for you just to go straight into the event and play it. And the first thing that I want to highlight for this update is we have a new bleed champion for soft launch servers. It's the Riddler. He's been teased a little bit on the official Discord server, as well as other avenues in the social media realm. And Riddler seems to be the champion that I think is going to bring Arkham's Most Wanted back into the fold as a positive meta team. You know, we've been pretty high on Joker for a very long time, but a lot of the other members of Arkham's Most Wanted just don't cut it. Scarecrow is probably the best champion in the entire group, including Joker in terms of just what he's able to do across all game modes. But you got Scarecrow and Joker, and then everybody else is kind of a cut below that. Bane is definitely one of those that, like, on his own is just has a ton of sustain. I think they may have fixed or changed the way tires get popped in Killer Tank, so that does take a little bit away from Bane, but his self-healing is just unmatched. And then, of course, you have Two-Face, who has seen a little bit of a buff recently, and he's definitely much more usable with Joker. So Two-Face kind of in that mid-tier for Arkham's Most Wanted. And then you've got Ivy, who is a fairly formidable healer. Doesn't do a ton of damage, but those vines are kind of annoying to deal with. Obviously, Penguin and Catwoman are bottom tier champions that you should not be using unless you just have nothing better to do and plenty of money. And if you want to wail on them, go ahead. But I don't think they're really worth using. And the nice thing about Riddler coming in is he is going to be somewhat free to play accessible. Obviously, if you are a Joker main or if you enjoy doing Arkham's Most Wanted, having Riddler, who's going to come much later in the bleed for you, means that you'll have kind of like a defined path to making your team better over time. You don't have to worry about, you know, pulling for 3 or 4 champions in a row in the bleed. You go Joker and then Scarecrow, and then probably even potentially a rerun of Joker or Scarecrow before you even get to the Riddler, unless they change the bleed calendar up significantly. So I think that is a positive thing for non-spenders and light spenders. You'll see that the boosted odds champions here are Two-Face, Penguin, and Bane. So again, you know, positive thing that they're making the champions that you have a higher chance of pulling that aren't the Riddler, ones that have synergy with the team. We've seen a lot of these bleed champions where the boosted odds champions are not synergistic. So really happy to see that change as well. Now, I know a lot of you guys get frustrated because these champions are coming to the soft launch servers first, and you're not going to have access to them for a few months. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about the Riddler, but I just want to point out he's going to be in the game. We'll be doing some testing. I do think he offers a very compelling kit for this team, and probably going to be a lot of people jealous out there that they don't have access to him yet. He's going to have a shield on his ultimate. He's going to have an ability with his first basic ability to reduce a lot of important stats like spiritual amp and physical defense and spiritual defense and those types of things. I think he can also reduce attack, and it's kind of based on the type of enemy that he's facing. He also has the ability to hide your team in Meta Brawl and Strategic Challenge if he's part of it, so you won't be able to get a preview of what the team looks like if the person is using Riddler. Kind of a neat new mechanic. And then his legacy piece is pretty busted. We'll take a look at that very briefly before we move on from this. Okay, so we talked enough about Riddler. If you're interested in what Bleed Champion is going to be coming next in your Bleed for your server, make sure that you log into the game after reset today. I believe most of the other servers outside of soft launch will be getting new Bleed Champions in just a few hours at reset. Let me know in the comments below who shows up in your Bleed. I'm very interested in that. I know that Toki, shout out Toki, one of the mods for the game, and also a fellow content creator, has put together an unofficial Bleed calendar. He's been able to figure out the groupings from talking to Naira and other sources. Kind of like there's 5 or 6 different groupings that you might be in for which Bleed character you're getting next. So be on the lookout for that. I know that Talia al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul, Martian Manhunter, and Swamp Thing are some of the champions that have not showed up yet in the Bleed for most of the other servers. So I'm very curious who gets what here and how much they mix it up. Just a very quick note about Riddler's unique legacy piece, Conundrum Cane. You'll see that you're going to get static attack, you'll get attack percentage, and you'll get energy gain bonus. Love seeing that energy gain bonus. Anytime you get speed in this game, it's a positive. And we got 2 skills. You're going to have Riddler's unique skill that only he has access to when he equips this. It's called Intermission. And then we have Disorientation for the one that will be kind of global no matter who you put this onto. Now, Intermission, when protected by the Riddler's shield. So when Riddler casts his ultimate and grants a shield to all of the allies on the Arkham's Most Wanted team, or I guess any team for that matter, allies will restore HP equal to 10% of the Riddler's attack every second. That is ridiculous. This is at 0 stars, by the way. When the shield breaks or expires, they immediately restore HP equal to 80% of the Riddler's attack. So it's going to be a fairly significant amount of healing. Maybe just the 10% probably isn't as much, but I think the 80% of Riddler's attack could be pretty significant depending on how much you're able to gear up your Riddler. And then we've got Disorientation. So this is going to increase the wearer's effect accuracy by 10%. And then every 5 seconds, it will increase all other allies' attack by a certain percentage, stacking up to 24% and lasting until the end of battle. So those are going to go up over time as you start up this legacy piece. But I think it's a pretty important legacy piece for your Riddler. This is a theme we've seen recently is pretty much every time they release one of these unique legacy pieces, you kind of need it for the champion for them to do what they're supposed to do. And this is definitely one of those that if you're going to invest in Riddler, you need the Conundrum Cane as soon as possible. You could probably get away with some of the other things like Starheart Staff, maybe. There's probably a couple of others I could think of. But in the long run, you'll want to have Conundrum Cane for Riddler if you go for him. All right, so next big change, they made some adjustments to Battle for Gotham and Ultimate Battle for Gotham. These are going to be probably a little bit divisive in the community depending on what time zone you're in, but the event is now going to take place from Saturday from 2200 to 2330 UTC time, and it's going to last 90 minutes. So they've kind of moved it a little bit up in the day, and they're also changing the timing. It's going to last less time than it was before. So we started this journey at 3 hours. They moved it to 2 hours, and now we're going to an hour and a half. I am a huge fan of this. I have a lot of things going on in my personal life outside of this game on the weekends, and I am appreciative that they're making it where I actually get a little bit more of my day back, and I don't feel like I'm having to be tethered to my phone for such a long period. In fact, with this new change, I might end up starting to stream some of these down the road, so be on the lookout for that. Now, a couple of things that they also changed. Remote squads will now appear at 20, 40, 60, and 80 minutes after the battle begins. So you're going to get a few bites at the remote squads during this. They've kind of truncated that. I think that's a positive change. Victory condition adjustment. So the first league to occupy Gotham City Hall for 40 minutes, or the league with the longest occupation time by the time the countdown ends, will be the champion. This was previously 55 minutes under the 2 hour system. So we're getting a significant decrease in the amount of time that you have to be there. So you know, if you get to that 40 minutes in the first 40 minutes of battle, which probably won't happen for most servers, but in maybe some of the backwaters, it will be possible. You'll definitely be able to truncate the amount of time that this is going to take. And I do expect over time that we're going to get to a situation where probably most Gotham battles are going to last around the 60-minute mark before they're over with. So again, a positive change here. I'm happy for it. The battle rewards have been changed. So they merged the battle rewards into personal rewards, and those are going to be distributed after the battle ends. Winning League is going to get 200% personal rewards. It kind of feels like they've moved this more to the way they do Great Krypton Rush, but we'll have to see once Gotham has been done a few times on some of the servers out there. I can't do it for another 23 or 24 days. I'm locked because I'm on a server that recently merged. But want to hear from you guys, you know, how you feel about the rewards. I'm sure that some of my longtime subscribers will send me some screenshots on Discord and let me know what exactly this looks like over this weekend. They did adjust one of the skills, so the Lazarus infusion has been replaced with recharge. So after using the skill, it fully restores your reserve stamina. I'm curious. I think this is going to be similar to the way Guardian Challenge has been, where you get 300 reserve stamina and you can use that to kind of like bring your squads back to life or get them back online. And so I'm not super thrilled with this. It probably means that you're going to have squads that are going to be offline a little bit longer, but we'll see how it works. I mean, maybe people find this to be a positive change. It's definitely something we're going to have to get used to. So a lot of big changes for Gotham, and I think most of that is going to be positive for the game. They also made some improvements to basically all ship combat modes in general. So Guardian Challenge, Great Krypton Rush, Battle for Gotham, Ultimate Battle for Gotham. I assume these will also apply to cross-server Great Krypton Rush when that gets here. But preparation squads will now be automatically loaded into your preset squads when you enter the event, but you can manually change them. So instead of having to go in and do this immediately, it's just going to be there for you. As long as you use the same preparation squads as you do for these game modes, and I recommend that you try to set your preparation squads up that way, you should see this as like a good thing. You know, you had that first 10 minutes or so of the match where it's just kind of a preparation stage. So you're just getting this out of the way. You can kind of go make some coffee or like do something else to get ready for sitting down to play this match. Added a new feature that lets players view building, battle, or garrison details. I like having the ability to see those details for pretty much everything on the screen. This is supposed to be a strategic battle. Like, ship combat is supposed to be very strategic. We need more ways to interact with and see what's going on the screen so that we can make strategic decisions. They also improved some event pop-up messages and visuals. Let me just say this. They did an incredible job on fixing the UI for the ship combat modes. I am extremely grateful to Super Helen, Chad, all the other people that I complained to about this for quite a while. And if you guys are watching this video, I'm sure you will appreciate that I am happy with these changes and that I'll try not to bother you as much about this in the future. I do think there are some more tweaks that could be made to the UI, But I recorded a full Guardian challenge. Going to try to make a video on that fairly soon, maybe a bonus video for you guys that will be a little bit more VOD style, and I'll kind of talk through the match. But I recorded that, and for the first time, I didn't feel like I was going to give someone epileptic seizures by posting the video. So be on the lookout for that. Now, part of this may be, I don't know if you guys use iPads to play the game, but you definitely get a more wide screen on an iPad than you do with your phone. But I'll maybe play one of these matches on my iPhone at some point and kind of see if there's much of a difference in like the way the screen looks and feels for people who are on the go and play the game on things other than PC. But again, the UI is way, way better than it was before. I'm super stoked about it, and I'm curious what these new visuals are that they added in. Hopefully they didn't reverse anything that they had already changed. They've continued to make improvements to the strategy guide, so they've added recommended transmutation attributes to the guide for each champion. They categorize them as good choice or best choice. And those recommended attributes will now be marked with a corner indicator when transmuting gear. So let's take a look at that really quick. So I found one for Death Metal Wonder Woman. You can see PDEF here is definitely one of the things that you want to be going after for her. I really appreciate that they've added this little corner marker here on these, because it's going to make it a lot easier for people to make these decisions. I do try to cover transmutes on my Whaler Skip videos. One thing that I appreciate, but also it's kind of like it for a lot of people maybe taking me out of a job, but they are continuing to add more of these attribute recommendations and like gear transmutes and, you know, legacy pieces, all these things that can be helpful for you to make decisions about champions when you're getting ready to go for them. So I do appreciate that's in here. Sometimes I think they might be a little bit off on exactly what you should be going after. So I still recommend that you watch the Whaler Skip videos. And I think there are some other things that I can provide you as kind of advice on these champions that you're probably not going to get in the strategy guide, but I do appreciate that they are working on the strategy guide and making it better. You can see here that they've included this as core attributes on the screen. So we've got physical penetration, crit rate, attack, and PDEF here for Death Metal Wonder Woman, and for the most part, I agree with those. Moving on, we've got a couple of things that I want to talk about that are a little bit smaller. I'll try to run through these pretty quickly and probably skip some that don't really matter as much, but they increased the storage limit for deconstructible gear to 200. Really happy with this change. It's something we've asked for a while. We never asked for the amount of gear to be reduced down to 100 in our inventories in the first place. I hope that they'll consider taking this up closer to the 400 or 500 level, especially as we continue to get more champions in the game. It's quite difficult to manage your gear and try to save up some of the tag synergy gear for new champions when you're having to constantly deconstruct things. I deconstructed a lot of Arkham's Most Wanted gear recently, and now I'm left trying to figure out, like scrambling to figure out if I have what I need for Riddler if I decide to go for him. So, adding to this 200 limit is going to be nice, because now I can kind of like start banking some of that back up. They fixed the champion attribute healing taken up, so now it contributes to total power for a champion. You're not going to see a ton of that, but if you're going for gear transmutes and things like that, could see some increases in the power for some of your champions. One thing that people might appreciate from a league standpoint, R1 members that get league star. So basically you put in a lot of league contribution, will automatically go to R2 without occupying an R2 slot. So even if you don't get appointed into one of those roles, you can basically force your way into a new one for the league. And I think that's a good thing. Like if people are doing a lot to contribute to the league, but they're not in an officer position, it's good to give them like an additional like way to be recognized as, a standout in the league. So I like that. Got a new chat bubble for people that care about that. You do have to access it through the Champion Zone point store. I haven't looked at that yet. I assume it's going to be somehow paywalled. So keep that in mind for, anyone who's interested in it. They did fix some issues with preset squads, and they also fixed some issues that they were having with the VIP point system. There is compensation going out to anyone who has been affected by that. They fixed some issues with league text research upgrades that weren't working properly. And then it appears that they've also fixed some lag and text and display issues. So they're continuing to iterate on just some of the look and feel of the game. And I really do think we're playing a completely different game than we were 7 or 8 months ago, and we're almost playing a different game than we were playing this summer as well. And most of those changes to UI and the look and feel of the game have been very positive. So I'm happy that they continue to work on that. I know some of these things, like the stamina system, for example, have not been super well received, but the changes that they made actually end up making the game better. And a lot of people have been asking about this. I'll probably spend some more time in another video talking about it. But one of the things that is completely different now with this new system is you have champions that can get much more than 30%, which was the prior cap. And that means that, like here on my biolab, I've got 4 champions that can get 42% on stems. So my stem production in the Batcave is going to be considerably higher than it could have ever been before. These percentages stack on top of each other. So they've definitely, and you're going to get higher percentages by starring those champions up. I think it may end up going all the way up to 50% if you have a 5 red champion. Now, obviously, this is going to benefit spenders a lot more, but non-spinners and light spinners will still have the ability over time to make their champions much stronger than they were before. And that means that over time, you're going to be getting more and more resources for your account. That's the positive change here. They do have one last thing. They added this quick remove button for the work area. They added a quick remove button for the recovery area, the living quarters. And they also have a quick add button, I believe, for adding people to the living quarters. They don't have a quick add for adding people to the work area. That is in process right now, and Super Helen confirmed this morning that they are hopefully going to have that ready for next week's update. So we'll definitely cover that whenever it comes out. I got a lot of things in store for you guys, and we're going to be doing a Queen Hippolyta Whaler skip tomorrow. I know that's a little bit late coming out, but hopefully some servers will still have an ability to watch that before they go for Queen Hippolyta. The thing is, I even hesitated putting this out because I've already put out so many videos on Queen Hippolyta anyway, and I don't really know that many people are going to get much of a benefit from me doing an additional whaler skip, but I'm going to put it out there just because I want to have like a complete set of these whaler skip videos for people in the future who might be joining the game. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow. We'll talk through everything there. I probably will end up, once I have an opportunity to get Donna Troy a little bit higher, to do some full Amazon's team testing and talk to you guys a little bit about that. I considered putting out a Death Metal Wonder Woman video, but I chose not to because honestly, I wouldn't have many people who watched it, and the ones who did would probably get mad at me. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see a deep dive into Death Metal Wonder Woman. I have her at 2 gold stars. I'm happy to share some of my thoughts. I have some footage of when I actually unlocked her, which was kind of neat. But again, I want to make sure that you, the viewer, want to see that kind of content before I put it out there. Worst case scenario, I may just do a YouTube short so that, people who want to watch it can, and everybody else can just ignore it. A couple of other things that are coming out. Again, I mentioned that Guardian Challenge video. It's super long, like it's 40-something minutes long. But I may end up cutting that down and making a smaller guide video for it, or just releasing it as a VOD so that you guys can watch that match and kind of see some of the things that I was looking out for in the way that I managed my roster. So a lot of things that are in the pipeline, just not enough time to record and edit those videos, but they will be coming out between now and the next couple of weeks. If you like this video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You'll get notified anytime I come out with new DC Dark Legion content, and if not, I still hope to see you in the next video.